Welcome to the Global Wellness HQ family of podcasts. We are your international headquarters for resources and ideas and insight in relation to the 9 elements of holistic wellness. Join us as we interview local and international wellness experts and learn how you can implement and improve one element or dimension of wellness at a time. Our experts will share their practical tips on wellness in one of these core areas: emotional, intellectual, occupational, physical, environmental, financial, spiritual, social, or habitual. We created our family of podcasts as a resource for anyone who is looking to integrate the 9 elements of holistic wellness into their daily lives. Welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
I'm all right. My son's actually just moved to Milan. Let's all weep with pity there. So it means that, my morning meetings are like 9 till 10 and they can get a bit tight. So I apologize about being a couple of minutes. Actually, I'm on time. Well, I like
You're
to
on
jump on.
time.
Yeah, but I like to jump on at 5. I work on military hours. If you're on time, you're late. So
Yeah,
I'm always 5 2. But anyway, how are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you, Steve, for you've been in my head for years. So thank you for
Oh, dear.
taking the time to hang out. Blue fishing broke my brain. It was like, holy crap. You know, I don't want to sound like a fanboy. I'm not, I promise. But, it was my 4 minute mile moment where, the world needed to understand that we could run faster than the 4 minute mile. And once somebody did it, everybody did it. Um, I talked about things, people told me I was crazy. And then when I read it in your book, I was a madman saying, look, see. And then all of a sudden, things just started happening because instead of trying to prove to people it was possible, I could just sit back and do it. So
Yeah, yeah. No, it's the downside is we spend a lot of our life without realizing it, seeking other people's approval that can't do what we're trying to do.
yeah.
And that's just fucked up. No, it's a weird old thing, but hey, I'm glad it stirred you.
Oh, it stirred me, and it was funny because I have a wish list of people I'd love to interview. You're in my top five. Honestly, you're in my top three, and I won't tell you that you're probably closer to top two, but that's another conversation. When Michael heard that I was a fan of yours, he was like, "Well, I can make it happen," and I'm like, "Okay." So that's how exciting this is to me. I just want to put that out there.
All right.
Um, Now, what would so I want to talk about networking. That's kind of the point of this,
Sure.
but the real message is I really don't care about networking as an activity. What I care about is building relationships. So I feel like that, you and I are going to talk more about relationships than networking, but really, truly, given the network that you've built, this will become a book that I'm sharing with my audience. If you want it to be part of it, it's great. If not, it'll be a podcast.
Okay.
But what I want to do is I want to break the 4 minute mile for people and say these are some human to human connectors that you need to follow, you need to lift them up, you need to support them, that sort of thing. So whatever you
Okay.
need out of today, we'll cover. Does that make sense?
Sounds good to me, and I'm happy. I'm happy for podcast and book any way you want to use it.
I love it. And you'll get copies of everything. You can approve it before it goes live. But
Okay.
all right, I'm going to introduce you, and then we're going to talk about whatever we need to
How long
talk
do we
about.
run for?
Usually I try to keep it to about 30 minutes.
Beautiful. I
You
fancy a
know,
cappuccino, and I haven't had my cappuccino yet, so that's perfect.
do you want to put a pin in it and go get your cappuccino, or?
No, I no, my wife's getting ready, and I want her to do it, so I'm good. So that's fine.
All right. And if you have to run, we'll cut it short, but usually about 30 minutes.
Good.
And yeah, there's so many questions I could ask you, but we're gonna have some fun.
Hey, look, who said
Um,
there can't be a part two?
exactly. Well, thank you. And I can't wait. I haven't got Go for Stupid, but it's on my must list. Is it out yet or about to be out?
Well, actually, funny enough, it's out. I didn't pick this copy up for any other reason other than the fact that my friend forgot to take it home from the garage. It's out, but we're actually trying to get people to get it for free by going to the website goforstupid.com. I actually recorded the whole thing in a place in Hollywood, and so you can actually watch the video, because we ended up with these videos because I didn't want to do the audio just in a box. So I did it in a studio. We ended up with all these videos and we didn't know what the fuck to do with them. So we just gave them away for free. So goforstupid.com. You can watch the whole videos for free.
Love it. All right. Your stuff, I'm sorry, Steve. I gotta sit down with it, ponder it, and my highlighters wear out in your books. So just
That's
full
fine.
disclosure.
Whatever works for you.
All right, I'm gonna introduce you, and then we're gonna have some fun. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. Today, we're going to take our show to a whole new level. We're talking about building authentic relationships. And Steve Sims is one of my all-time favorite people in this space. His book, Blue Fishing, broke my brain and showed me so many amazing possibilities. And now he's got Go for Stupid. Steve, welcome to the show. And why don't you tell people a little bit about what you do with Blue Fishing and what you're doing with Sims Distillery?
Wow. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm disrupting you. I'm also aggravating you and pissing you off. I think that there's too many norms, too many preconceptions of what success looks like. There's too many things that we don't talk about because, oh, that's not pretty or sexy. So I wanted to release the books to get people to go, hey, this is normal, easy stuff. And you've read Blue Fishing. I'm going to ask you directly. I'm going to put you on the spot. Was there anything in that book that was difficult to do?
Other than giving myself permission to do it, nothing.
There you
Everything was
go.
just like, I read it going, oh my God. Like, I think it was when you were talking about when you were a bouncer somewhere. And I was like, no offense, but if a bouncer can do this, why couldn't I?
That's the whole point. You know, I wrote the book, and I don't want to digress, but I wrote the book. And true fact, I front loaded. When you release a book and you get a publisher to help you, if you front load it, you get paid a big wad of money at the front end, but you get no residuals afterwards. I thought no one was going to buy it because I thought, who the hell's going to buy this? Because it's so freaking simple. You know, lo and behold, it's now been translated into 8 different languages. It's a bestseller all over the planet, and I'm looking like an idiot. But anyway, the point is there was nothing difficult in there. But I realized that most people were coming up with wonderful excuses to avoid doing what was the most authentic and impactful.
Yeah.
So the books came out, and then we released Sims Distillery to create the kind of room, the kind of unity and community that you needed in order to support, challenge, and push, not to cheer. We don't want cheerleaders. No one's in there going, oh, you're wonderful. That doesn't help anyone. We wanted to prod you and go, hey, is that enough? Couldn't you do better? Aren't you better than that? How do I get you to where you need? And that's why Sims Distillery was born. So in a nutshell, I'm out there to piss you off, aggravate you, and get you further than you can get on your own.
I love it. And I think that's, to come back, we'll talk about Go for Stupid in a second. But what I loved about Blue Fishing was I read it, and I'm not kidding. I was like, I wonder how many people just say, and then go back to, next, they put it on the shelf.
Yep.
I stopped short of pulling the cover off and eating the pages, but I digested that book full on. It's not I read it from a point of view of how am I going to implement these things? And over, it was just, being authentic, building those relationships. And I got a certain sense of why not from you. Whereas I think most people say, they come up with the excuses, but it was just, let's just do it. So now what's the story behind Go for Stupid? I love the subtitle, The Art of Achieving Ridiculous Goals. That's the thing. If they're not ridiculous, are they really worth achieving in the first place?
Well, you've already answered a lot. For a start, I never thought I'd do a second book. If anyone's ever written a book, they're kind of nodding when I say, hey, it's painful. It's like a therapy session. 1 minute you're kind of smiling, the next minute you're reduced to tears. It's harsh. And then you put your heart and soul in it and you release it and you go, ooh, and now you're sitting there going, do people like it? You know, and I've never been an approval boy. So, but when you release a book, you do kind of sit there going, well, I wonder if this actually helped anybody or if they just laughed or popped open the window with it. So I never ever wanted to do a second book. But then COVID came across, and one of my attributes, which I've been told, one of my peak powers, I suppose, is I get aggravated really quickly. And here's the dumb thing. If you are bothered about something, you do something about it. If you're bothered about your weight, your intelligence, your bank account, 9 times out of 10, you do something. If you're not happy, then you'll sit there and whine and bitch. But COVID came across and we were no longer communicating with each other, which was kind of weird, wasn't it? Because if you think about it, we got more ways to actually connect with anyone than we've never ever had in history, yet we've never been more disconnected. So I actually started writing blogs, articles, memes, notes, going, hey, stop coming up with the excuses. You've got a phone, you've got a FaceTime, you've got Zoom, you've got millions of ways to be able to connect with people. Stop whining. And the world just carried on whining. And eventually someone said to me, look, you've been writing all of this stuff, put it in a book. And I did, because I wanted the people to realize that communication and relationships is the only thing you can't download an app for. You know, I can download an app to build a bridge and speak Chinese and cook a whale, but you can't download an app in order to communicate. So, and build an authentic relationship. So I wrote the book for that reason. But the title, that was 15 years ago. And I remember when we had the concierge firm, people used to come to us and go, hey, we want to do this. And we'd look at it and 2 things. One, if I gave you what you wanted, that's called a transaction. That's what Amazon does, and no one has a relationship with Amazon. No. So I didn't want to give you a transaction. I wanted to give you an emotion and a trigger and a relationship. I wanted to become the person that the next time you needed something, you went, Sims is the man. Yeah. So anytime anyone came to us and go, hey, we'd like to do this, we would go, hey, sounds great. I hear you. Give me a couple of days, I'll come back to you. And then I'll turn around to my team and go, right, we've had this request. Client wants to go to an Elton John concert. How can we make that request stupid? Now, here's the key thing. If I speak to you now, Jeff, and I say, look, what is your goals? You know, what is your aspirations within your business? What's your plan of attack here? You know, and you go, well, I want to do this. And I go, well, that sounds impossible, but let's break through the impossible. Let's make the impossible impossible. But that's all very rigid and fiery, isn't it? Yeah. And anything too rigid snaps, fatigues, and breaks. But if I say to you, I hear you, but how can we make that goal stupid? Now, here's what happens. The second I ask you, how can we make something stupid and ridiculous, you smirk and you become a child. Mm-hmm. And childs don't live within boxes and parameters of you can't do this. They go, but I want a yellow pony to be in it. Then let's get a yellow pony. So by making your goal ridiculous, you can now fail at maybe half of that and still exceed 500 times what you would have gone for, because you're allowing yourself to become a child dream. And if you look at everyone today, Larry Page, I want a place where people can get smarter. Jeff Bezos, at your fingertips, anything you want. Elon Musk, cars for the future, going into space. He literally said, I just want to go into space. Now, how can I make it happen? You know, they always start off, Walt Disney's the classic, and they said to him, aren't you, Walt Disney died before the Epcot. And they turned around and they said, look, aren't you sad he's not here to see it? And he said, if he hadn't have seen it, you wouldn't be seeing it today. Yeah. So anyone that we look at and we go, oh my God, you do. That's the key word. You do amazing things. Started off by dreaming it and going for ridiculous goals. And how many times has Elon Musk been laughed at? Jeff Bezos.
Or in general?
Oh my, exact today must be a million times. We spend all of our time, and sadly, and listen to this carefully, sadly, poor people are very noisy. And anytime anyone steps out of the line to do something amazing and ridiculous, they try to pull them down like they're crabs. And when I say poor, and if everyone wants to send me some hate mail on that, knock yourself out. But I'm talking about poor mentality.
Yep.
Those people that dare to dream, dare to achieve, dare to actually go out and do something for themselves, but just want to jeer at anyone that does. And that's the poor mentality that I'm trying to avoid. Go for Stupid is a very, very old title, which quite simply gets us in a childlike state. And we still do it now when I coach and I teach and I train all over the planet. And the first thing I do is go, okay, I hear what you're saying, but how can we make that goal stupid? How can we gamify it? How can we play with your dream? Because let's be serious. I guarantee you, you get tired of fighting, but no one ever gets tired of playing.
Yeah. 5 more minutes, Mom.
But there you go. Just imagine if that playtime was your work time.
I love it. And I find it so fascinating that, Go for Stupid is so simple. Again, I love what you do, Steve, because you take the complex, you throw it right out the window. And the reality is everybody's talking about how do we motivate, how do we inspire, how do we make people do things. And my 2 cents, I just appointed, I have 2 boys, one 11, one 14, and I both gave them the lofty title of video game consultant. And their job is to tell me what they like about the game. And, it's funny because my 11-year-old's really cynical. He's like, well, how does this help you, Dad? And I'm like, you don't need to worry about that. But literally everybody's like, oh, it's nice you're teaching your kids how to do this stuff. And I'm like, no, no, no. My kids are teaching me how to have fun again.
Yeah, there's the old saying that we get old when we stop playing.
Yep.
And I actually have a T-shirt. Someone sent it to me. It's my bed shirt. It says "Don't grow up." And my toys just happen to be motorbikes and that kind of thing now. But I'd play often, and I'd play large. And so when you stop playing, you die.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
Yep. Well, and it just feels, you might live longer because you play it safe, but it's not an actual you live longer. It just feels like you've lived longer because you had
You
no
ran out
fun.
the clock. Yeah,
Yeah.
life is for living. It's not for being a passenger. I've just gone through not dramatizing. I just went through a health scare, and it could have been serious. It wasn't, but I ended up saying to my wife that I'm 57 years old. Okay, I've still got shit to do, but if I died, I've lived 10 people's lives.
Yeah.
No one's going to sit there and go, well, he wasted it. Oh my God, he just kind of like saw it go. And I'm not that kind of person. So I will go out smiling. Can you say the same?
Yep.
Or are you just trying to play it safe? Because you're not going to get any brownie points. You're not going to be on your deathbed and someone turns around and goes, well done. You
Yep.
played it safe. Here's a chocolate bunny. You're not getting that shit,
You played it safe. You didn't live. Now it's over. How do you feel? I love it.
Yep.
Now you had a question you shared with me about starting. The question was, and so for my audience, they know this. I always ask, what's one question you would like to ask? Your question was, why start your own room? Tell me about that, because I feel like this is where we're gonna go on some. We're gonna go for stupid here, and we're gonna have just the best podcast I've ever had. So no pressure.
Well, wow, yeah, no pressure there at all. I'm an educated individual, but I believe school had nothing to do with that. I went out to seek knowledge, and you can only seek knowledge from people that have actually failed at stuff. And that's where the knowledge and the experience comes from. You can get a little bit from books, but I always wanted to have that communication and that relationship with people that were doing stuff that I wasn't, and they were doing things differently. So I realized I wanted to go out and speak to people. And so in doing so, I also joined masterminds and communities and associations. And I found that their attention to me and my growth ended the second that the credit card went through swipe and came up as the word approved. And it bothered me. And I would be asking questions and I'd be like, well, we'd love to help you, but we have a platinum members group for that, And it was all this kind of shit. Or you'd be in this group and all of a sudden everyone's in there trying to sell you insurance or T-shirts or, swag with your name written on hats and stuff. I wanted a group that wasn't there to cheerleader me. I wanted a group that was there to go, right, why you? What are you working on? And why you? Now, that's not horrible, but it certainly is validating and clarifying whether or not you're the right person. I could be here going, hey, I want to be point guard for the LA Lakers, but I'm 5'11", dumpy British guy. I'm not going to, no matter what I want, someone sitting there going, yes, Steve, you can be anything, is actually misleading and lying to me. So I wanted people to go, well, look, I hear what you want to do, Steve, but you've got the vision. Now get someone to action it. Steve Jobs had the vision, then he got people to actually produce. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to get in the right room. I also noticed, and this is a test for anyone that's listening to this podcast, what's your room like? And this is the test. You're sitting down having coffee with your mates or wine or beer or whatever. Start telling them about your goals and aspirations in your life, your business, and your relationships. Now, will they look at you and go, my God, that's fantastic. Let's do it. I want to be part of that journey. Yes, you go for it. Or do they look at you like you're an alien and they start going, what the hell? And this is the danger. This is where it gets scary and toxic. At that moment in time, you're faced with a choice. Do you leave that table and find a table that will support, challenge, and push you? Or do you settle? And the downside is most people settle. They go, oh, Jeff, I had a crazy moment. Someone must have spiked my wine. I'm all right. Of course, I don't want all of those things. And we settle into that poor mindset. As entrepreneurs, as anyone listening to this podcast now, you're pissed off dysfunctional kids from Hogwarts. You spend most of your life fitting in until you realize you were never built to. 10% of the planet operates the other 90%. You're part of that 10%. So stop trying to fit in, but start finding a room where those people challenge you. I can't. It would probably upset me. Calculate how much money over a 15-year period I have spent on masterminds, events, seminars, all that kind. My search and my goal for knowledge has been thirsty, but I've joined so many groups where I've just got ripped off, but ended up with a free swag bag that cost me 50 grand. There you go. So I decided to design the room that I wanted to find, where we vet every single people. And it still makes some people, we have people apply, and when you apply for Sims Distillery, there's nowhere to put your credit card. We're not interested in your credit card. We want to know, are you the right kind of person to be in your room? Your credit card's just a fuel to drive the car. Yep. We want to know, are you the right kind of person that we want to be around? And so we started doing that about a year ago with my son, Henry, to create a room where people will be pushed and challenged and provoked into doing things differently. And I've got to admit, the success stories that we've been getting have been beautiful. And I've been dragged to tears a few times when I've seen people that have actually finally realized that A, they were in the wrong room, and B, they're capable. And that's usually what people don't have. You said it at the beginning. You gave yourself permission, which meant for many, many years, you didn't. And that's scary.
Well, it's funny, Steve. And this is where Jeff's brains, I think I've evolved more in the last month than I've evolved in my entire life. But, I spent a lot of time trying not to rock the boat and be in that room with the I call them muggles. This is just, you brought up Harry Potter. I was like,
yeah,
I'm part of the wizarding community. And, I was always worried that I didn't fit in or that I was weird. And then one day I realized that I was playing with the wrong people.
That's the thing. I race motorcycles. Let's put it into an exact. I race motorcycles. I'm not brilliant. But whenever you get on the racetrack, you've got these different groups, okay? And as you leave the pits, you can see those people playing it safe and you can see those people pushing it. If I race with the guys playing it safe, I will be first every single time. I will be the best loser out there.
Yeah.
But if I race against the fast kids, again, I lose, but I become one of the fastest losers out there. And
Yep.
bit by bit by bit, I get better and better and better. And I'm no longer. So you've got to pick who you're playing with. If I'm going to take up basketball, I'm actually going to go and get Shaquille O'Neal or, Michael Jordan to teach me, because I want the best of the best of the best. And that's where I deem to be.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing when you look at the most elite performers, I don't care what space they're in, they all have their own room. And it's funny because I've spent a lot of my life justifying why my dreams were possible, not giving myself permission. And this week it's like, wow, things change.
Yeah.
I have to ask you a couple of really personal questions.
Oops.
I've seen the Sims Distillery. I see Jim Quick, Jay Abraham, and Joe Polish. You drop names like most people drop pennies, and I don't mean that in a mean way, because you genuinely have relationships with these people. Um, this is, I think, the $1 billion question. What did it take out of you to get these three brilliant minds to put their name and endorse you on your website?
Wow. I should probably ask them that. I don't think I've ever actually asked them. I think it was because I led with intent and commitment before I ever asked anything. Because the people you're talking about, I've known for like 15 years. And I wanted to learn, grow, and understand from these people. And quite simply, and you used the key word there, I wanted to build a relationship. I didn't want to build a transaction. So I never asked anything from any of them until I had the aggravation I needed to build my own room. And I went, hey, can I lean on your credibility to, just push some people in the right direction? And the funny thing was, like Jimbo, gorgeous boy, he endorsed my book. And then when it came out, he said to me, just to let you know, I've never endorsed a book in my life. And I was like, shit, well, thank you very much. And when I was talking to Jay, I went, Jay, like you kick around with Damon John and, Tony Robbins all the time. And, Jay's a good friend. But I said to Jay, would an endorsement be too far out of the way? And it's kind of hard to ask a friend for you to endorse them. And Jay just turned around and sent me a video and he said, whatever Steve's involved in, I endorse him. Simple as that. And I'm like, jeepers, this is Jay Abraham. So, I think Joe Polish just wanted to get in on the act because he gets very upset if he's left out. But no, I think genuinely I wanted to help and nurture them, knowing that one day maybe I would have an ask. And there's lots of people that I know very, very well that day hasn't come. So I've not needed anything from them. I haven't asked them. I'm also not going to get upset if they say no.
Yeah.
Because, they may be on their own promotion thing. They may be focused on something else. I think that's one thing that happens. People turn around and go, well, hang on a minute. We've been mates for ages and you're saying no. Like I had someone say to me a little while ago, could you promote my book? But they wanted me to promote it at the exact same time I was promoting mine. And I went, I can't, I'm in my book tour at the moment. This was back last October. I said, but here's the scoop. Hit me up in 8 weeks' time and I'll throw you on my podcast, and we'll do it. And he was like, great. So I gave him a reason why. But I think the focus is to focus on the relationship and not on the transaction.
Love it. And I think that's where I see a lot of mediocre people, because that when I read your first book, when I read Blue Fishing, I don't know if you identified yourself as a networker back in the days when you were bouncing at the
No.
bar, but I'm like, this guy gets it. And that's the part I'm fascinated by is the best networkers on the planet get that you serve others, you help others, and I don't know where the next thing is going to come from. I don't know who's going to buy my something or join my group. I just know that if I help enough people, the universe brings wealth back to me, and it feels like you sort of were born with it, or you figured it out innately. And what I loved was it was just, I hear people all the time. I'm going to give you the wisdom from my son when he was 8. He went to a new school and he was scared because he didn't know anyone, and I took him to school and I walked him up to the door, and he saw this other kid that looked a little sad and lonely. He walked up and said, "Hi, I'm new here. Do you want to be friends?" And that kid didn't look back. And I'm like, when did we lose that ability to just connect with another human being over the fact that we're both standing on the same soil and here's the playground? Like,
Yeah, we lost. I can tell you when we lost it. We lost it in 1999. The second that we started outsourcing our communication to digital. We had Friendster, we had MySpace. I'm not trying to romanticize the past. There's a lot of shitty things about the past, and
yeah,
today is better than it ever was. But the point is, when you had a new job, a new car, or a new baby, you phoned up your mates. They came over, they looked at it and went, "Yeah, it's a baby, great," and then you got drunk. Now someone has a baby, they stick a picture of it up on Facebook, and they're mortified if it hasn't gone viral by 5 p.m.
yeah,
We are now seeking so much approval rather than communication and connection. And that is ridiculous. We're also in a society now where you can't believe this, but during the worst 2 years of our period, the pandemic, where we couldn't get out and connect with someone, we actually invented two toxic societies: the gotcha society and the cancel culture. Let's look on his Facebook and look back to when he was doing dumb shit in 1997, and then let's ridicule about how insensitive he is and cancel his career.
yeah.
Now, I'm thankful we didn't have cameras back in the 80s and 90s, because
You
I'd
and
have
me
been
both.
canceled. Ain't we all? In fact, if you ain't doing dumb shit, you ain't trying.
Yep.
But again, it's all those poor people that have got nothing better to do than sit there and go, hang on a minute, did he say that word? Did he dress up as that? My God, he dressed up as a penguin at a fancy dress party. How insensitive he is to the penguins,
Yep.
that kind of shit. So,
I'm outraged on behalf of penguins everywhere. Damn him.
yeah, but the problem is, as adults, we second guess and we second guess wrong. I speak to, in fact, here, I'm going to give you an exact. If you want to look like a criminal, if you want to feel what it's like to be a criminal for a few seconds, walk into Starbucks, stand behind someone, order your coffee, and then wait for this. Try to strike up a conversation, and they will look at you like you are a mugger. Because God forbid they can have a conversation. They have to get their phone out and see how, interesting someone else's life is on Instagram. We're losing the ability for the only thing that we care about. Anything else in the planet we can purchase, buy, or replicate. But human connections cannot be ordered on Amazon. They need work. And it starts by that, hey, how you doing? Oh, I like your shirt. You look tired. Is everything okay? When was the last time someone saw you in the street and maybe you're waiting for a donut or a cup of coffee, or your Uber, and someone says, "Hey, you look a bit tired. Sorry, just check. Are you okay?"
Yeah.
When was the last time someone said that? People are scared to communicate today. But if you're not scared, you thrive. I
Mhm.
have literally walked up to people. Now, I am, for those people that can't see me on the podcast, I'm 245 pound of biker ugly. All right? I'm the kind of guy that if you see me on a dark street walking towards you, you will more than likely cross to the other side of the street. But I have walked up to people and they've been concerned. I can see it in their eyes as I'm walking up to them, and I've gone, sorry, you look a little bit disjointed there or disconnected. are you okay? Just wanted to ask, are you okay? Do you need to sit down or something like that? And I've done that to people that I've seen like that. I've been in Starbucks and my kids hate it, although they're older now and they're actually starting to do it themselves. I've been in there and I've just turned around to people and I've gone, hey, how's your day doing? What did you order? Just curious on what people order from Starbucks. And I've been, almost like shunned, but I still do it. I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for my muscles. And as they always say, if you don't use it, you lose it. The ability to communicate is a muscle. And if you lose that ability, technical term, you're fucked.
Yep. There's no other way of saying it.
No other way.
It disturbs me, Steve. I read that Japan is now coming up with companions for hire to talk to people. And I'm like, wow, that is like one of the signs of the apocalypse. It's just
I
we
had
need surrogates for communication. Like, wow.
Yeah. I do these events called speakeasies. They're like my masterminds all over America. I did one of them in the Bunny Ranch in Reno in a brothel. Okay. And I'd actually interviewed this girl on my podcast and she'd really intrigued me, sharp as a tack. And so we interviewed these 5 prostitutes in Reno. Sex workers. I do apologize about that. And
oh crap! You just canceled us both.
Yeah, I've done it. But no, I want to pay respect to the girls.
Yep.
And here was the weird thing. All 5 girls ran their businesses like businesses. They had schedulers, they had links, they had marketing, they had branding, all this kind of stuff. But the one thing that I found the theme running through in the thread that really made me smile was a lot of them had clients for like 2, 3, 4 years that had the same clients. And like they would see them monthly. And I was like, well, okay, then. So, monthly, you get your juice on and you're out again. So I was, just saying that. All the girls turned around and said, if we have a client that's been with us for about a year, we probably had sex maybe 5 times. And I'm like, well, hang on a minute. I don't want to be rude here, but if I buy a ticket to a concert and the main act doesn't come on, I'm not happy. So you're telling me these guys come in here and they're not getting sex? They said, you don't go to these places for sex, you go for connection. And a lot of the guys go there literally to put on the football game, order a pizza, to be able to communicate to a woman that's not going to judge them. Yeah. And we're in a very, very judgmental society. We are immensely fast to judge and incredibly slow to listen.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that is absolutely just mind-blowing that, are you okay is such a simple gift we can give to another human, and yet we're afraid to. Now, Steve, I promised I'd get you out of here so you could go have yourself a cappuccino. Yeah. I'm going to ask you 2 more questions.
Okay.
First question is sending people to your website, Sims Distillery, the best place, or should we send them to the Go for Stupid? Talk about those 2 things very.
Sure. I wrote the book, goforstupid.com. It became a bestseller, and I ended up doing the audio in a film studio, which meant that we also got the video and we didn't know what to do with it. So if you go to goforstupid.com, you can watch me read the book to you. So you can go to goforstupid.com and get the free book there, or you can just hit me up on stevedsims.com. Don't forget the D for dashing, and there's only 1 M in Sims. Or just hit me up on Steve D Sims, any of your socials. On the exact same URL on every single one. Probably most vocal on Instagram. But hey, if you want to reach out to me, tell me you heard about me on this podcast so that we can start chatting.
I love it. Now, my final question is, we talked a lot about building authentic relationships. For those people who are so scared that they're thinking, I need to go and hire a companion, what would be your first tip to, break out of that shell? Because like you, I can talk to almost anybody, and honestly, most anybody talks to me. For people who aren't wired like that, how do they start coming back into the real world where you can actually, reach out and pat somebody on the back?
So the first thing you got to realize is I wasn't like this. I'm actually an introvert. I like to be left alone. I like to ride motorcycles. I like to adopt dogs. You know, the whole point of me being a doorman of a nightclub was good because I could just stand there and look scary. So I was very, very happy with that kind of life. But I realized it wasn't aiding my growth. When you start looking at the implications and benefits of what you're doing, it overrides the pain. You go to the gym, you get hurt, you get tired, you get fatigue in order for your muscles to get good. You know, you sit down, you read a book in order to get smarter. So you've got to understand you've got to do the one thing in order to get the other thing. I needed the information. The information meant that I had to have a conversation. And here's a rule of thumb for you. The first time you do anything, it'll be shit. That is the mantra for an entrepreneur. The first time you do anything, it'll be shit. So for that reason, I would suggest next time you're in a coffee shop, try to strike up a conversation. It'll be a bad conversation. You'll probably get scared. You'll probably be escorted out of a coffee shop because, oh my God, you try to spark a conversation with another human being. But then you'll get better at it and keep on doing it and keep on doing it and keep on doing it. And you will become talented because you will have that muscle. Imagine if I gave you a 10-pound dumbbell and I said to you, can you lift that up? And you said no. But every day you tried. After a month, it's the lightest thing in the feather. And you're just throwing that damn thing around. That's communication. So first time you try it, you're going to be shit. But keep trying it because you will stand out with that skill set.
I love it. Well, Steve, I just want to point out for my audience that, you're on a book tour. So I think one of the greatest things my audience can do is buy your book or watch your videos. But Steve, I know for a fact that you came on and you're helping me because a friend of mine said, Steve, you need to meet Jeff. I want to thank you because you were more than I hoped for, and you are absolutely an amazing builder of authentic relationships. So thank you for hanging out with me and sharing your genius at this.
Cheers, pal. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our show. We hope that you enjoyed this episode, and we invite you to either click the link below or scan the QR code to register and listen to other episodes of our podcast. Or if you think your business or you would be a great guest to be on our show, we're always looking for experts in one of the 9 elements of holistic wellness. We'd love to have you. You can either click the link below or you can scan the QR code and complete our speaker intake form. Thank you, and to your wellness.